Alrighty, hello. My name is Jhadira Villavicencio.
And my name is Janelle Mathies. And tonight we're going to talk about my adaptive challenge, which I'm a stay at home mom of four kids. One of them is off to college, and then the other three range in age from 11 to 17, 16. And the biggest adaptive challenge that I'm facing right now is the all of the technology that it's and all the screens that are in place, and trying to navigate that and keep screen time down as much as possible, especially for my 11-year-old and my 14-year-old. She just turned 14, so. Um, uh, my 16-year-old, I don't track as much. She uh, it was during COVID that her and my current 18-year-old, they were, I think, like in probably sixth grade and fourth grade. We introduced cell phones to them early because we wanted them to be able to like have the social aspect when during lockdown. And so that was the biggest mistake that we made, because now my younger kids think that they should get to have cell phones. We kept them away from my 14-year-old until she had a flip phone in sixth grade and seventh grade, and she didn't get a cell phone until like an iPhone until she turned 13. And we've limited it that she doesn't have like the internet on it unless she is able to connect to Wi-Fi. So she just has like, I'm trying to think, she can text friends, and she can't, like, if she has their phone numbers. She has like a couple of games like Wordle and like just a couple of app games, and that's pretty much all she can do on her iPhone. My son that's 11, he has a flip phone, which he like hardly uses just because he's embarrassed that it's only a flip phone. And he has an Xbox and a Kindle, which he is on constantly. The Kindle he only plays games on, and uses Messenger Kids and is constantly talking to his friends. So I feel like they're on screens constantly, and that I'm having to like police it and keep them off of them as much as possible. We try to limit it to 2 hours a day, but it's really hard, and it's really hard to have them have like their friends have smartphones like starting like in third grade, it seems like, and I'm the bad parent like with my kids that they don't. And so that's right now the challenge that we're facing is all the screen time, not having cell phones. My teenager, the oldest, the biggest thing with her is that she has her cell phone like in her room at night. She's pretty busy and active, so she's not on it that much, but like I feel like I need to try and do something where she's not keeping it in her room overnight. So
Yeah, so it sounds like you're dealing kind of with a lot. So really the overarching thing is the technology, and it sounds like what you're saying is you have kids and they range in ages. Your older ones you gave kind of technology and like the phone a little bit earlier, but what you're currently comfortable giving your younger kids, and they kind of see that as like an unfair advantage that your older kids had, and you're really just kind of trying to find the balance. It's what I'm hearing, and also navigating the new technology you named off, like the Kindle, like the you said like the video game system, the
right.
flip phone, and the text messaging without, or the phone without, that only connects to Wi-Fi in order to be able to contact, and only has like calling and stuff like that. So it's just like there's a lot of technology that's going on around, and you're just trying to, what it sounds like is you're trying to find that balance of
Right.
how much screen time to give, but also what it seems like is you're also trying to find like some type of like harmony between the kids.
Right. My goal is to make sure that they don't have an iPhone until they turn 13, and then no Snapchat or like no social media except for Snapchat until they get to high school. Like no social media at all except for Snapchat, and they don't get that until they get to high school. And so just keeping it with that set, and then limiting screen time to 2 hours, and keeping those guidelines through high school with the kids. I guess I don't really, with my high schooler, I don't really keep track of it. I mean, she can do what she wants to do. So keeping it at that level, the 2 hours for the younger kids. But I do keep track of the high schooler and make sure that she only has Snapchat for her phone. So
Yeah, so it sounds like you have like some strict guidelines, which is wonderful. Especially for your younger kids, to make sure that they don't have the social media until they're in high school. And once they're in high school, they, like your daughter, she has like those privileges now. What is really kind of like your mentality behind all of this? What was the reason why you want to set these parameters in place with technology?
I've gone to like police seminars where they've talked about social media and just a lot of the statistics with kids and social media and how it impacts their grades, how it impacts their mental health, how like the dangers of social media with kids and people being online. I just read a book, The Anxious Generation, where it talks about social media with kids. My son, he actually got in trouble during the week last week. And so one of his, he was given extra chores on Sunday, and I told him that he couldn't have any screens. And it was interesting. It was nice to see he and my 14-year-old, they played games for several hours. So, I mean, he was asking if he could have screen time, and I kept saying no. But it was nice to see him actually doing things that he wouldn't normally have done and interacting with his siblings instead of just like sitting and staring at the YouTube for hours. He played well with his sister. And so I talked to him about the fact that I thought that once a week, the whole family would go screen free for a day. We still did like a family movie night where we all like sat down and watched a movie. So he did get to watch, like an hour and a half of TV that night, but it was something that we all like consciously did where we put our screens away and watched TV together. So it was more of an intentional time instead of just scrolling through or staring at YouTube videos. So that's something that I want to be more intentional about doing, is like once a week, us putting away our screens and reading books or doing something together or doing things outside.
Yeah, that sounds extremely healthy. Especially like you did all your research when it comes to technology. You said you went to those police seminars and you were able to read that book and just kind of be informed about social media, especially with this younger generation. It can definitely be very scary. I've heard a lot of that as well. And it sounds like you have really great healthy alternatives for your kids, even though it was that one of them was grounded. I think playing with those, like being able to play with your little sister and playing games, and I think that just sounds so much fun. I think that was a great intentional time, and it sounds like you want to keep up this intentional no screens times now because of how good of an impact it made.
Yeah, I'm hopeful that, I mean, it definitely wasn't easy to,
Yeah.
to facilitate, but I'm hopeful that it will get easier for everyone, and that they'll want to be on them less. So
That sounds amazing. Do you anticipate any more like challenge? Do you think maybe as they get older or anything like that they might push back or
um I I think as they get older, like it'll probably be harder to do it. Like my older daughter, she works, so my 14-year-old, when she gets into high school, she'll start working too, and she plans to waitress at the same place where my current oldest works, and so that'll be on the weekends. So it probably will be something that once she gets into high school, it won't really be a topic really. So it'll be with my son, who it'll be harder for him. He won't have that person to interact with and play games with. So it, will probably be me. But one thing, I think the biggest thing that's hard for him is finding things to do on his own. Like learning to entertain himself. And I think that a lot of kids have that difficulty now, because screens have become like their babysitter. They're not able to just pick up a book and read for 3 hours, or draw for an hour and a half, or
Mhm.
do a puzzle, or we definitely have things like that in our house that he could do. And we have like one player games that he could do. So it's just going to be trying to get him to do those things. So it'll take some effort on my part, but hopefully over time it'll happen.
Yeah, so what I'm understanding is that so your older daughters, they're going to be working at the same restaurant here soon. And with time passing, as they're both in high school. So it'll be a little bit harder for them to be able to get off screens, and especially kind of going back to like your first rule about like once they're in high school, it's kind of really up to them. You're not going to be monitoring it as much. But really now it's going to be like focusing in on your son and just making sure that he has some intentional time without screens, and that it sounds like you've provided a really great environment in your home where he has healthy alternatives, like you said, like coloring or potentially doing other things. It definitely, I do agree that kids nowadays do find it very hard to be able to entertain themselves without electronics and technology. That is something that I've heard a lot about this generation, so I definitely feel for you there. But I think what it sounds like, you building this healthy environment in your home definitely gives them great options, and I really do hope that it works out, because that is just a very healthy way of thinking. So I commend you for that.
Well, thank you.
Of course. Is there anything else that you wanted to talk about your adaptive challenge?
No, I can't think of anything else.
All right, wonderful. Well, it was so great talking to you, Janelle.
You too. Thank you for facilitating this.
Yes, of course. It was great learning a little bit more about that.
And thanks.